Good morning, everyone. I'm Dan Rivera. I'm President and CEO of MassDevelopment. And on behalf of the Baker-Polito Administration, thank you for joining us for today's announcement about the Transformative Development Initiative, or TDI, as we like to call it. I'll be serving as your MC today. I want to start by extending my deep thanks to Lieutenant Governor Polito, Secretary Kennealy for taking time out of their busy schedules. I think sometimes we're so focused on, the task at hand that we tend to not forget that there's this pandemic all over the place, and sometimes they get called away. And so the Governor Polito, Lieutenant Governor Polito and Secretary Kennealy taking time out of their day as they try to manage this pandemic is really thoughtful, and we appreciate it. We're also pleased today to be joined by Fall River Mayor Paul Coogan, Maine South CDC Executive Director Steve Teasdale, and Maine South Small Business owner Laura Perez Garcia. Talk about the impact of this announcement. Also on the call are many legislators, municipal officials, and community organizations from around the state. So thank you all for joining us today. For those of you who are not familiar with MassDevelopment, we are the Commonwealth's Finance and Development Agency. We help stimulate the economic growth through a wide variety of programs, products, and technical assistance, such as loans, taxes and bonds, grants, and real estate services. As I said, our site readiness program announcement with the governor, lieutenant governor, secretary a couple of weeks ago. This is my third month on the job, so I'm also still learning about all the ways this agency helps support economic development. But having served as mayor of Lawrence for the past 7 years, I'm no stranger to how this work, this agency does and can create real impact for a community. Our TDI, our Transformative Development Initiative, is a great example of that. To provide some background, this is a program for gateway cities that works with cross-sector partnerships in targeted commercial districts over a period of about 2 to 4 years in order to engage community members, implement local economic development initiatives, and spur further public and private investment. A simple way to describe it would be an accelerator program for neighborhoods. And the secret sauce is our team of TDI fellows who works as lead community organizers within the districts to promote local economic development collaborations. It is a huge help to communities, to gateway communities who are so focused on so many things that sometimes energizing one neighborhood or one district, falls prey to a larger initiative across the city. So now we all know that COVID-19 has hit our gateway cities particularly hard, both the health of our residents and the health of our main streets. And to that end, I want to acknowledge and thank the Baker-Polito Administration for their tireless work over the past year to lead Massachusetts through this pandemic and support our residents and businesses every step of the way. And we're fortunate that MassDevelopment's TDI fellows have been working in these gateway cities for years, building relationships in the communities long before the pandemic hit. That meant that during the crisis, the fellows were already positioned to understand the unique needs of local businesses and help them identify and access available resources such as PPP loans and the Commonwealth's very successful Mass Growth Capital Corporation grants. So while our TDI fellows have been on the ground assisting local businesses, our TDI program staff was also considering every possible resource that could be deployed to offer relief. That's where our TDI local program came into play. As one of the several competitive grant programs available to our TDI districts, TDI local funds efforts like storefront improvements, lease assistance for new businesses, district marketing, and other projects aimed at supporting local market development. So in early 2020, it became clear from our deep relationships on the ground that we needed to redirect resources from other parts of the program to directly assist small businesses in our TDI districts impacted by COVID-19 related to closures or loss of business. So last spring, we pivoted quickly to address this critical growing need by awarding $545,000 in TDI local COVID-19 emergency grants to 10 gateway cities and organizations in these gateway cities who could either re-grant funds directly to small businesses to cover rent, payroll, or other business expenses, or create small business stabilization programs specific to their cities. In Lawrence, for example, fiscal agent Groundwork Lawrence used a $65,000 grant to contract with 8 restaurants in downtown Lawrence to provide meals to residents in need. Groundwork Lawrence worked with the community partners at YMCA, the Boys and Girls Club, and Bread and Roses Housing to distribute the meals, and received additional funding through the New Balance Foundation and private contributions to extend the program. So that meant these dollars, this $65,000, allowed direct funding of meals to the most needy from these organizations that were already doing the work. So statewide, we're proud to say our $545,000 assisted 192 small businesses, including 72 women-owned businesses, 94 minority-owned businesses, of which more than 180 are still operating today. And so today, we're doubling down on this support with a second installment of TDI local COVID-19 emergency grants. And with that, I think it's important that we hear from the people themselves who support us. And I'd like to introduce, I believe she's with us, Lieutenant Governor Baker-Polito, to tell us a little bit more. Are you with us? She might still be at the press conference. So we're going to go right back right away so we don't lose much time on this. A person who's really close to me and the work that we did in Lawrence, I'd like to say that with the governor and the secretary and I, we're getting the band back together, what we did in Lawrence, trying to make sure that Lawrence stayed on track. And so Secretary Kennealy is the chair of our board here at MassDevelopment, a great leader. Thank you so much for being with us and to tell us a little bit more about the program.
Well, Dan, thank you so much, and great to be with all of you today. I do have the privilege of chairing the MassDevelopment Board, working closely with Dan, and very excited about his leadership of the agency and the on-the-ground knowledge he brings from one of our gateway cities. I did have the pleasure of working in Lawrence for 2 years and got to know Dan through that process, through my work for the schools up there. But very excited about the work MassDevelopment does and Dan's leadership there. Great to be with Mayor Coogan and with Steve. And with Laura today for the speaking program as we talk about this new opportunity. I guess I'd say sort of three things today. One is you look at the list of communities that we celebrate today: Attleboro, Barnstable, Brockton, Chelsea, Chicopee, Fall River, Fitchburg, Lawrence, Springfield, and Worcester. 10 sort of anchor communities in their regions representing diverse urban neighborhoods really in every corner of the Commonwealth. It's always fun to read the list of the recipients of these grants and understand just the diverse needs and opportunities we have all across the Commonwealth and the ingenuity that goes into putting these programs together. And so we celebrate and highlight a great list of communities today. I had the pleasure of being in one of those communities yesterday with Dan. We had a nice visit down in Brockton with Mayor Sullivan and walked around their TDI district and saw the great work down there. So always great to at least virtually be with a number of our communities today, and looking forward to further travels as we come out of this very difficult past year. The second thing I'd say is around the importance of partnership. And you think about this TDI program, as I have traveled the state now for over 2 years as secretary, we hear so many great things about TDI because it is all about partnership, having knowledgeable people on the ground in these communities, making good things happen. And hats off to Noah Koretz for MassDevelopment and his leadership there. This has been a really proven program now for many years. But again, it speaks to the need of having folks on the ground who know these communities, who can work in partnership with others. And you look at the types of folks the TDI programs working with through this program, CDCs and chambers of commerce and other nonprofits. Again, it's such a great example of community-based partnerships, and that's really what makes things work here in the Commonwealth. And the third point I'd make is around the importance of supporting small business. We have in the Baker-Polito Administration endeavored to provide that support through a lot of different means. We know it's been a terribly difficult time, to say the least, over the last year for our smallest companies. And we've come to the table now with Mass Growth Capital Small Business Relief Grants, about $650 million so far to over 14,000 businesses. We've doubled down on our investments in small business technical assistance, working with a variety of CDCs and other partners around the state to provide them funding so they can provide hands-on assistance to our smallest companies to help them access federal support and do other things necessary to get through this period of time. We have launched innovative programs like our Shared Streets and Spaces program, helping to build out downtown areas for outdoor dining and commerce and greater pedestrian activity. We've launched the My Local MA campaign to encourage people to really support your local businesses. Before you buy something online, think about that vendor, that company downtown, and make your purchase there. And think about dining and being a tourist in Massachusetts as well. So we know the importance of supporting our smallest companies. We know it's been an incredibly hard year, but we will get through this. We'll get through it together as we accomplish everything here in the Commonwealth. So With that, I think I'm turning it back to Dan, but great to be with you all today. Oh, you're on mute, Dan.
I'm still trying to get this right. We've only been doing it for a year. Thank you so much, Secretary. And again, it's you're right. Together we'll get through this. And again, the Lieutenant Governor is going to be with us as soon as she can. They're making a very important announcement about the COVID-19 fight today, and she's with the governor on that point. So as soon as she comes in, we'll have her come on. So like the Secretary said, this is the program is really simple. Help our gateway cities, small businesses, keep the lights on during this challenging economic crisis, and every dollar, counts towards that fight. I would now like to announce the 10 organizations receiving a total of $510,000 in TDI local COVID-19 emergency grants. You can follow along as with our presentation on the screen, as we have some really cool pictures and maps of this great effort. So in Attleboro, the Community Development for Attleboro, Inc., thanks to Rep. Feeney, who represents Attleboro, for joining us today. The organization is re-granting funds directly to small businesses in or near the area of the Attleboro served by TDI. In Barnstable, $30,000 to Downtown Hyannis Community Development Corporation, thanks to Rep. Diggs and Rep. Whalen, who represent Barnstable, for joining us today. The organization is re-granting funds directly to small businesses in or near the area of Barnstable served by the TDI. $30,000 to Brockton, the Brockton Redevelopment Authority, thanks to Rep. Dubois, who represents Brockton, for joining us today. The organization is re-granting funds directly to small businesses in or near the area of the Brockton served by the TDI. In Chelsea, $60,000, thanks to Rep. Giannino, who represents Chelsea, for joining us today. Chelsea Business Foundation will receive the $60,000. The organization is re-granting a majority of those funds directly to small businesses in or near the Chelsea TDI district, and using remaining funds to provide technical assistance services to businesses focused on long-term business stability. This is a really good chance to help businesses get right with point of sales, get right with their taxes and their reporting, as most of these grant processes need that information to give them the money. And so I'm glad to see that's happening in Chelsea. Also in Chicopee, $60,000 to Greater Chicopee Chamber of Commerce. So thanks to Senator Gomez and Rep. Rivera, who represent Chicopee, for joining us today, along with Mayor View. The organization is re-granting funds directly to small businesses in or near the Chicopee TDI district. In Fall River, $60,000 for the Bristol County Chamber Foundation. And thanks to Rep. Schmidt, who represents Fall River, for joining us today. The city of Fall River and local organizations, including Bristol County Chamber Foundation, is launching a Get Connected grant program to provide grants to help small businesses address COVID-19 related challenges and transition to e-commerce and those types of business models. It's also going to support the existing United Way Help Feed Fall River program that partners with local restaurants to produce meals for local families in need during the past holiday season. Fitchburg State University and Reimagine North of Maine in Fitchburg will get $60,000. Reimagine North of Maine is supporting local restaurants and recreation, entertainment, and arts-related businesses, and facilitating pedestrian activity in downtown Fitchburg by purchasing and distributing gift cards from local businesses to area residents. In Lawrence, I think I know that city, $60,000 going to Groundwork Lawrence, and thanks to Representative Minicucci, who represents Lawrence, for joining us today. The organization is running a second round of its Grab and Go Meal program, which was created with the help of a 2020 TDI local COVID-19 emergency grant by contracting with select restaurants in the Lawrence TDI district to cater boxed meals for food insecure families through partner nonprofits, like I mentioned earlier. And of course, in Springfield, $60,000, Springfield Business Improvement District. The organization is re-granting funds directly to small businesses in or near the Springfield TDI district. In Worcester, $60,000 to Maine South Community Development Corporations, thanks to Senator Moore and Rep. Keefe, who represent Worcester, for joining us today, along with Mayor Petty. The organization is re-granting funds directly to small businesses in or near the Worcester Maine South TDI district. To all the organizations receiving funding today, congratulations. And thank you for doing your part to support small businesses in your community during this COVID-19. I also want to take a chance to thank our TDI operations team for leading this program and continuing to do and add to its capabilities. Noah Kurtz, Laura Christopher, Andrew Levine, and Alejandro Lopez. And I'd like to give a shout out to our TDI fellows who are on the ground working with these small businesses every day. George Durant in Attleboro, Barnstable in Brockton, Andrea Monson in Chicopee, Jim McKeague in Fall River, Francisco Torres in Fitchburg, Jessica Martinez in Lawrence, and Yvette Almeida in Worcester. Thank you for all you've done and continue to do. And I also want to note that MassDevelopment is currently accepting applications for organizations for a new competitive round of TDI local. And applications will be accepted until April 7, 2021. Folks can learn more at massdevelopment.com TDI. I'm glad to see that our fearless leader, Lieutenant Governor, is with us now. It's always, it's great. You get to go do that great announcement you did with COVID-19 on one side, helping out those communities that didn't get federal dollars. And again, leadership to the end. Thank you so much, Lieutenant Governor. But we'd love to hear, anything you want to say about this TDI local emergency impact for COVID-19.
Sure. So thank you, Dan, for your leadership. You're definitely hit the ground running there at MassDevelopment. You know this so well, having served for Lawrence for a long time. We just came out of an announcement that's really great for the communities to reach our homebound. These are people that literally can't leave to access an appointment for the vaccine, and we need to go to them. I want to thank the 170 local boards of health who have said yes to participating in the homebound program to literally bring those doses to these residents of these communities using the J&J vaccine, which we were so happy to receive this one-time bolus of about 44,000 doses that we can deploy to that program. And the other communities will work with our state contract to deliver these vaccines as well. So it represents about 25,000 homebound people that are now going to be part of the program. So today's great. I love this program. The TDI program is terrific. When we were visiting these neighborhoods, it was great to see the fellows who are deployed to the TDI communities to literally reimagine areas within a downtown area, a defined area. And over the course of the years of investing in these TDI neighborhoods, we've actually seen redevelopments, more housing, more commercial activity, and more economic activity for sure, and a new place that defines these parts of our larger cities. So all of that hard work for a lot of these communities involved supporting a lot of small businesses. And we clearly want to see these businesses, a lot of them minority-led, small businesses, entrepreneurs that have a lot of energy and creativity that literally put their blood, sweat, and resource into these businesses. We certainly want to see them continue to operate. And that's why I'm thrilled that these funds have been made available. And they seem small, these block grants, 60,000, 30,000, but these block grants will help your organizations re-grant these dollars directly into the hands of these business owners to literally keep the lights on, stay connected to their workforce, and keep going. And it's so needed right now. We see that light at the end of the tunnel, and we want these businesses to get over that goal line to continue to operate as we transition into the post-pandemic time. I also want to give a shout out to Secretary Kennealy and his team and the Mass Growth Capital folks for leading the nation really in setting up a small business program with $720 million. We've deployed $633 million to over 14,000 businesses. Again, small businesses that are literally the fabric and the the places that we all love to go in our communities and trying to help them continue to operate throughout these challenging times. So I guess the message today is there's more help, there's more partnership, and we thank our community leaders. I see Paul Coogan from Fall River. Thank you, Mayor. I can't wait to see you. You're gonna deliver on that bet that we have, and can't wait to get that one in person. And Steve, obviously, I know all the great work you're doing in Maine South and Worcester. Just really terrific. Keep it going. I'm so proud of my home city in Worcester. You know, you've had a lot of momentum going into the pandemic, and the wind certainly was at your back throughout this past year. And you're just, you know, taking off with a lot of great things happening as we, you know, round the corner. And there's a lot of communities. I think, Dan, you just went through the individual communities. To each and every one of you, congratulations. I know the neighborhoods where you're receiving more dollars, and I can't wait to get out there. I think you all know that the governor and I just dying to get out and see all of you and see the great progress that you're making. So just congratulations, keep up your great work. And again, thank you for all of the work that you've done, the extraordinary work over this past year, helping our Commonwealth keep our citizens safe, and at the same time, help our businesses recover. And I'll just close on the one word, rebound. You know, we want to just hit this spring hard and come out of this, have a great summer and a great strong finish to this year. Congratulations, everyone.
Thank you so much, Lieutenant Governor. I think you hit it right on the nail on the head. And we're so excited that
sometimes I feel like I'm hitting my head on the nail. I do.
Well, we appreciate you for your leadership in these tough times, and you know, there's a lot of balls in the air, and we appreciate that you're knocking it out of the park for us. So thank you so much. And you know, the stuff that's happening in Worcester and in Central Massachusetts has a lot to do with you and your leadership, and we're already thankful for it. And if we were live, I would be like calling audibles as like state reps came in the space. So I gotta text from somebody. My friend from Lawrence, Representative Marcos Devers, is on the as well, kind of cheering in groundwork Lawrence and Lawrence. My cell phone number is 978-985-5143. So if you want to get text and get shout out, I'll do it, because you know I love my representatives and my senators, and we'll make sure they get, for all the work they do on the Hill, I gotta make sure they get credit for it.
Absolutely.
And a group of people, a group of folks who are working really hard, I know because I did it for 7 years, are the mayors of the Commonwealth. And so we're so pleased that we have with us one of the members of the hardest working group of mayors in the nation, the cadre of mayors in Massachusetts, our friend and our leader in Fall River, Mayor Paul Coogan. Mayor Coogan.
We need to hear you.
I think you and I got the same problem, man.
It always happens.
It's a mayor thing.
Someone doesn't unmute.
We always mute ourselves if someone's yelling in the background. I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you.
All right. But I want to thank everybody for allowing me the opportunity to talk today, and all the support that MassDevelopment and TDI have given me this year. I'm also extremely honored to be joined by Lieutenant Governor Polito, President Dan Rivera, and Secretary Mike Kennealy. The bet the Lieutenant Governor referred to is for a hot dog and a small soda. She's not getting a medium or anything, if she can help me with vaccines. So right now I'm ahead like a half of a hot dog. So we're in a battle. It's a battle. I'm not going to lose. I'm so grateful that the TDI has established in our community during this COVID pandemic. One of the things I'm most proud of in Fall River is that, along with the help of Jim McKeague and the TDI partnership, they became integral parts of a truly life-saving collaborative system across the city that had the goal of keeping businesses afloat and helping our most needy residents get access to food. Several of our TDI businesses were involved in the United We Feed program in collaboration with our local United Way, which allowed local businesses to retain staff and income while providing hot meals to all these families. In the earliest days of the pandemic, TDI provided almost $90,000 in direct assistance through their emergency grant program. And working with our redevelopment authority, they averaged almost $4,000 grants to 22 small businesses. And in many cases, this allowed them simply to keep their doors open, keep people working, and keep the business viable during some of the most needy times. The second grant that helped us was the Get Connected grant, which in Fall River was very important. And it's crucial that our business owners were able to adapt during these unforeseen times and get up and running with technology. It's serving all these small businesses and industries, and it gave them tailored needs to fit their individual businesses. TDI conducted a needs assessment to match these businesses with essential resources that would help them survive and thrive during the pandemic. And we all know what that was like. In Fall River, we see time and time again that technological literacy is a unique challenge to our population. We see it just getting a vaccine or getting a test in many cases. And the dedication of TDI and the Get Connected grant in addressing these challenges cannot be understated. We have many small family-owned mom and pop establishments here in Fall River where owners have been able to rely on loyal customers and a strong reputation. And many were not prepared for a new economy that was based on technology. But TDI and MassDevelopment stepped in to help them get over this hurdle and keep those businesses viable. Specifically in Fall River, the 22 businesses run the gamut from beauty salons, to restaurants, to mom and pop travel organizations, small furniture stores. They helped everyone up and down Main Street and throughout the TDI district. And I cannot thank TDI, the Lieutenant Governor, and MassDevelopment enough for all they invested in our city. It helped us through a crucial crunch time. And again, I tip my hat to all of you. Thanks for all the support. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Mayor. I really appreciate it. Great words. Anything we can do to help you in this time, let us know. I appreciate all your leadership during this.
Thanks, Dan. You've always been there. Thank you, Dan. I appreciate it.
Now, to tell us what this grant will mean for Worcester's Main South neighborhood, I would now like to welcome Main South CDC Executive Director Steve Tisdale to say a few words. Again, Worcester is in the middle of a renaissance, the ball field, all that stuff. And again, like the mayor said, you know, this is, you get wind in your sail and then you get something like COVID-19 to come along. It feels a little bit tough to do, but no other than the members of the CDCs of our Commonwealth are hard at work making sure where the rubber meets the road and where policy impacts people, they're doing the most work. And so Steve, if you could tell us a little bit about what's going on in Worcester's Main South neighborhood.
Yeah, well, I'd be glad to, Dan, and thank you very much for the opportunity to comment on the critical role that TDI local relief funding has played and continues to play in helping the small business community in Main South's TDI district. It's helping it to survive the economic devastation wrought by the COVID-19 crisis, and that's not an exaggeration. And I'd like to thank also Lieutenant Governor Polito and Secretary Kennealy for being here today, and really and sincerely for the genuine leadership and the strong leadership of the Baker administration throughout this crisis. And I'd particularly like to acknowledge the administration's sensitivity and responsiveness to the needs of some of our most economically marginalized communities during this pandemic. And I do think you've done a great job in that, so thank you. I'll probably give you some quick context of the Main South Transformative Development District so that you can see how the funds from MassDevelopment have been so effectively used. Main South is a racially diverse, lower-income inner-city neighborhood in Worcester, Mass, and a defining characteristic of the area is the commercial corridor that dissects it through the entire area and offers easy access to commodities and supplies for local residents. And in 2018, a stretch of what can be described as the most economically challenged section of the corridor was designated a TDI zone by MassDevelopment. So whilst the TDI area itself certainly faced a range of challenges in order to accelerate economic growth, one of the strengths of the district was the stable base of long-time, predominantly minority small business owners that resided there and conducted a livelihood. 2 years into the TDI program, the economic revitalization efforts were taking effect and there were tangible results. MassDevelopment engaged as a committed partner in the effort, worked with local residents and stakeholders, and provided the necessary resources to support small business development, placemaking activities, storefront improvements, and marketing and branding activities, all necessary to regenerate and revitalize this section of the corridor. And then in March 2020, obviously everything came to a crashing halt. The pandemic hit, small businesses were locked down, economic growth became a distant secondary consideration to economic survival, as small weekly capitalized businesses struggled to pay rent, make payroll, and pay vendors. And this situation was exacerbated for many of the businesses who didn't have access to the PPP support, the CARES Act money, because they just didn't have the linkages to the SBA-affiliated banks. And so it was in response to this crisis that was playing out in TDI districts throughout the state that MassDevelopment repurposed existing funds and implemented its TDI COVID-19 local relief program. And in my opinion, the program's undoubted success in reaching its intended beneficiaries and helping small businesses survive results from two key factors. The first factor was MassDevelopment placed very few conditions on how the funds should be allocated. The program was intentionally flexible and focused on the urgency of getting the resources out into the local business community. And secondly, and I think this was a really important piece of it, allocation decisions as to which businesses should be awarded funding were made at the local level by a committee of neighborhood stakeholders and community representatives. And as such, funds found their way to those with the most legitimate needs. And so what were the results of this program in Maine South? And I think we gave them out as direct grants to the businesses to support their immediate needs. We were awarded $65,000 of local relief in the first round in April of 2020 and a further $60,000 in this second round. And so far, the following results have been achieved utilizing those funds. A total of 31 diverse businesses were provided relief grants ranging from between $2,000 to $500 to $5,000. 27 of those businesses were minority-owned businesses, and of those 27, 10 were women-owned enterprises. And the typical annual income generated by the businesses who received assistance was in the range of between $30,000 and $45,000. So they were lowly, they didn't have a great deal of capital behind them, and this money addressed immediate critical needs in helping them pay rent and make those necessary payroll expenses. And most importantly, I think, as to its impact, after 2 rounds of funding and a year into the pandemic, only one of the assisted businesses of those 31 has actually had to close down because it just couldn't continue. So the survival rate has really been great. And the TDI funds played a critical role at a critical time in supporting these businesses. They were there early in the process. And these funds, along with the merchants' resiliency and their own resourcefulness, when combined with other state resources such as the Urban Agenda Grant that is out there and the Mass Growth Capital small business loans provided by the state, have really provided an environment at which survival becomes a possibility. So I thank you very much for all of the investment in these communities. These are businesses that are in turn are essential to the well-being of our neighborhood communities, and we need to make them survive. And as they say, it takes a village, and I think we see that as to the involvement of the various entities that are engaged here. So thank you very much indeed.
Thank you so much, Steve. You know, at MassDevelopment, we aim to be more entrepreneurial and less bureaucratic and infuse as much flexibility as possible as it takes to get the job done, and with the full toolbox, really, of the Baker-Polito Administration, lieutenant governors, and the secretaries, all those tools in the toolbox that we put together for community and business development, I think is what you're seeing there. And it's important to have CDCs that know how to take those tools and put them to work. So we really appreciate it. We had an experience at the last event we did where somebody went live. It felt like the man on the street or woman on the street. And it was so successful that we thought we'd bring it to you today. I'd like to go welcome Worcester TDI fellow Yvette Almeida and Laura Perez Garcia, owner of the Voltage Fashion Boutique in Worcester's Main South neighborhood. Laura is also the president of the Main South Business Association, and we're going to go live to Worcester's Main South neighborhood. Ladies, how you doing?
Hi, I want to thank the state and MassDevelopment for remembering the small businesses of the city of Worcester. Without the help of the state and TDI investments, our small businesses would not have survived this national crisis. The MSBA is now, the Main South Business Association is now 28 members strong, 28 diverse business owners working to uplift our community. We need your continued support. I embrace the opportunity as a leader of the Main South Business Association to continue to work with the TDI program of MassDevelopment. From all of us here at Main South Business Association in Worcester, we thank you. Oh, I can't hear that.
Yvette, you're going to share anything from Yvette? You good?
That's awesome. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you for support our small businesses. We are really proud. The Business Association is like a family now together. It's an opportunity not just from the financial aspect, but from the leadership. They have a lot of participation now and decision-making in this community, and that is a huge lift out for them.
Thank you so much,
everyone. Thank you.
Thank you both.
So much. Again, having a strong business association is just like having a strong neighborhood association. They're the backbones of the progress that happens in our neighborhood. So thank you so much to Laura. Thank you so much to Yvette. We really do think of our TDI fellows as the special forces of the work we do here at MassDevelopment. So again, it's been great to do this outreach and celebrate these 10 organizations with this grant. Again, any last words from the secretary?
No, Dan, what a really nice event. And so nice to have the on-the-ground presence there in Worcester. This needs to be a staple of our future Zoom events. So I'm so glad we did that. But great to be with you all. Congratulations. And let's keep working together.
And then, taking us out as our leader again, Lieutenant Governor, appreciate your time during this pandemic. There's 100 places you could be. And so we appreciate you being with us. Any final words for us?
Oh, just really thank you. Two great examples from Fall River to Worcester. Obviously very in tune with the community. I want to just really compliment Yvette and Laura. You represent so many women-led, minority-led businesses throughout the neighborhoods of our Commonwealth. It's hard enough being in business and being successful at what you do. And then you throw the pandemic on top of that, it's almost impossible. And you are just breaking down those barriers, showing the way forward in your hard work and resiliency and your tenacity and supporting each other. You all know each other. You're all like a business family, and knowing each other and supporting each other, you'll come out stronger and better than ever. And I know it's going to be a great year ahead. I'm so proud of you. Keep up your great work. And just thank you all for what you're doing.